Hi, it's Jenny. Yet another video that is extremely late. It's time for my September wrap-up. In September I read a total of 2 books, which sounds very bad, actually. But one of the books were very thick, so I actually think that's the reason why. I started this one in August, but I finished it in September. It's Under the Egg by Laura Marks Fitzgerald. It's the Swedish translation, and I really love this cover. It's gorgeous. It's a review copy from the publishing company, Rabén och Sjögren, who focuses on middle grade and YA books and stuff like that, and children's books, of course. So yeah, enough about that. This book is about Theodora, she's 13 years old. All of a sudden her grandfather on her mother's side dies, and she Theo that is, has to take care of her mother, because her mother is very strange. She's only focused on her math thesis that isn't even financed anymore. So yeah, it's a very strange relationship, but Theo has to take care of the family. And when her grandfather dies, he says that look under the egg. The egg, as you can see on the front here, is a painting. By accident, this is not telling too much or spoiling anything, because it says so on the back. Under this egg painting there is another painting that's very old, and it's this painting that Theo tries to understand who has painted it, whose painting is it, why does it exist in her house, why did her grandfather have it, and stuff like that. It's a sort of mystery book, I would say, and it's also about friendship, because Theo gets help in her investigations. And yeah, I think that's all I want to say about the story in this. My thoughts on this is that it's an okay book. It doesn't capture me that much, but it's an interesting story in spite of that, and it mixes in the Second World War and stuff like that, and I love that. But I only gave this 3 stars on Goodreads, because I wasn't as captivated by it as I would have hoped to be. So yeah, I think that's it about this book. Yeah, sorry, need to mention this. I haven't read The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt, but I've heard a lot of people who have, and also have read this one. They say that this reminds them a lot of The Goldfinch, but this is for middle graders. So that comment makes me want to read The Goldfinch, but I haven't yet. But yeah, that's also a good to know thing if you want to read this, or yeah, if you have read it. So yeah, that was the first book I read, finished in September. The second book is this big brick of a book. It's The Cold 6000 by James Ellroy, and it's the second book in his Underworld USA series or trilogy, I'm not sure, There is at least 3 books in that series. I've read the first one, but it was a very long time ago, and I would say that it's good to have that one more in mind than what I had. The first one is called American Tabloid. I loved that one, but I didn't remember enough details to actually get a grip of this book directly or immediately. Instead, it took me a couple of pages, or 100, maybe almost 100 pages before I sort of got a grip of who's who has connections to whom, and why are they connected, and stuff like that. It is a book of 776 pages. It's part of my 3 in 3 challenge. It's the first book I read in that challenge. And it's about the aftermath after the Kennedy murder, how the conspiracies need to cover up their traces. It is historical fiction, I would say, because it mixes in actual events that have happened in the in history, but it's also fiction. It's not real events, sort of or the people in it are not all real or did not exist in real life. But yeah, it takes place directly after the Kennedy murders, and it talks a bit about how people reacted, and also how those who planned the murders and executed them need to cover up their traces. And then there's the Vietnam War, and a lot of drugs, and then there's the planning of 2 other murders that are executed at the end of this book. I don't want to give too much away about those 2, but maybe you can guess them. They are murders that actually have taken place in history in the US. Not too long after the Kennedy murder. But yeah, it sort of ends with one of those murders, or rather, the end of this book consists of the 2 murders. So I believe that the 3rd book, which I don't know the title of in English, I know the Swedish title, but I haven't checked the English one. I think that one will start off with the covering up of the traces from those 2 murders that this ended with. This book is fascinating, is the word I want to use about it. You start reading it, and if you have American Tabloid fresh in your mind, then yeah, I think it would be a better start. I didn't have that, so it took me a while before I got a bit more attached to this book. But I would say the main word to describe this book is fascinating, because you're not completely drawn in, but you sort of want to read more about it, but still you have a distance to it. Sort of, I don't know if you understand what I mean. I don't even know if I understand what I mean. But still, sorry if the background or anything, the placing of the picture has changed, because my phone rang and I had to answer it. And I'm actually filming on my phone, so yeah, you get the picture. So continuing with this, there is a lot of people to keep in mind and to separate from one another, because they do different things and have different connections, and yeah, it's a lot of characters, that is, sorry. But still, when you learned and got to know who's who, then you want to know what they do and what happens to them during this book. So I really recommend it if you sort of get what I'm babbling on about. I gave it 3 stars on Goodreads because it wasn't as good as American Tabloid, but it's still fascinating. It's a very strong 3. So yeah, that was all I read. A 776 page book and a middle grade 200 something pages book. There it is. I'm still happy because this is a adult fiction as well, so it took me a while to get through. So yeah, that was it. That was my September wrap up. Very, very, very belated. Sorry for that. I hope you got some tips about reading or something. Let me know in the comments below if you've read any of the books. It would be great to chat about them and get to know what you thought of them. So yeah. Happy reading, people. See you in my next video. Bye!